Yeah,
Well, it's
I'm
probably not
gearing
too
up for
cold in
that.
Florida.
I'm gearing up for that.
Canada cold.
Yeah, Canada code. Okay.
Buffalo's also pretty cold. I'm still trying to figure out exactly when I can go up there.
Oh,
Because my aunt was like, well, if you come up, we gotta hang out some. Like, I don't want you to be gone every day. And I'm like, okay, well, let me figure out what I can do. And maybe I'll meet up with Venerable when you're at work or something. So, try to make everybody happy, you know?
right. No problem. No problem. So first and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone across the world. I am all bundled up, getting ready for Canada. So you guys gonna see me like this with like I look like I don't know what I look like, but um, and right now I'm talking to Saint Bree of Virginia, who's gonna be meeting with me in Buffalo, New York, on the 12th, right, Bree?
Yeah, hopefully.
Why this thing? I cannot see you now. Why? You can still see me, right?
Yeah, I can see you.
I literally don't know how to work this laptop. Oh my god, the whole thing just disappeared. Hello?
I can still see you.
Oh. Well, how do you Are you kidding me? How do you expand this thing?
Is it like a black screen?
No, it's just you're in the corner. I can only see me. I cannot see you. Very high tech.
Oh.
It's on the laptop, but it's okay. It's all right. That's all right. So Bree and I have been coordinating. Bree is considered intermediate level Buddhism now, and one of the questions that Bree asked me was, what is all that encompassing Theravadan Buddhism? And right now, I sent her a table of content in regards to the main ideas of Theravadan Buddhism. And by the way, if you're not doing anything for New Year, I'm not doing anything either. You all see me shooting fireworks? No, that's burning money. Do you all see me out there getting drunk? No. Do you see me getting drunk and driving? No. So, just for all those people out there who are going to celebrate in that way, don't drink and drive. Okay. All right. So, the life of the Buddha, like I told Bree, that's like 20 books alone, right? And at the time of this talk, I'm actually reading this Life of Buddha by Bhikkhu Nyanamoli, according to the Pali Canon. And Bree was supposed to get the other book, the biography of the Buddha by Master. What was his name again? Oh, Hiseng Yun. It was a Chinese Mahayana venerable. I'll get around to that. Okay. Oh, there you are. Hi, you're back. Okay, here we go. Now I know how to. Jesus. Okay.
I'm back.
Okay. Then we go down the list here, and it's the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Basic knowledge of that. And when you break the triple gem down, the Buddha, the recollections of the Buddha, the 9 qualities of the Buddha, and then the Dhamma, his teachings, and then the which is 84,045 volumes. Also, and then the 3 baskets encompasses in the Dhamma, the Nikayas, and then the Sangha, which is the monastic order, how to treat monks, how to give more, take less, so on and so on. And by the way, I was supposed to announce the list of saints by virtue of generosity, and I was scrolling through the Cash App thing, and it was like 90% your name.
Oh.
It's like Bree. You can never get tired of Bree. It's Bree. I don't know whole list. Okay. Then you have the Four Noble Truths. Okay, which is that's a can of worms. And then you have the Noble Eightfold Path, going through each one individually and try to memorize it to the point where you can teach the Four Noble Truths, that you can teach the Noble Eightfold Path to people, right? The 5 precepts, but if you're a champion, then you go 10 precepts. Oh.
What are the 10? I only know 5.
So the 10 has to do with refraining from perfume, ornaments. The 10 has to do with entertainment. Hold on here. 1 second. I just lost my train of thoughts.
It's the New Year's Eve. That makes sense.
Yeah, this is what happened when I'm getting ready to travel and I have a million things on my mind. Hold on. Oh, this is gonna be it. They're gonna ask me to teach in Canada, and I'm gonna be like, hold on a second. One time I questioned Bhikkhu Bodhi, and he had to look it up, and I feel like him now. Okay, here we go. Number 6.
That's a good way to feel.
All right, number 6. The precept to refrain from eating at the forbidden time, which is after 12 o'clock. Sometimes that's not very practical because some people have diet issues. Number 7 is refrain from dancing, singing, music, going to see entertainment. Number 8, refrain from wearing, perfumes, garlands, beautifying the body with cosmetics. Number 9, refrain from lying on a high or luxurious sleeping place. Number 10, refrain from accepting gold and silver money. A lot of these have thousands, hundreds of amendments to them, and they're not quite practical in modern day. Especially you're trying to hold the 10 precepts, but you have to go to the chiropractor and pay your copay, so you have to touch money to pay your copay, right? But that's the 10 precepts for you, right? How embarrassing on New Year. Now people are gonna think I'm drunk at the time of this talk. Okay. Then you have the 5 aggregates, which you have the cheat sheet that helps you with the 5 aggregates.
Yeah.
Form, perception, okay, which is a combination of experiences, how they come and pass. Then you have the 3 characteristics of existence, which is impermanence, suffering, and the non-self. And that in order to see 3 of those clearly in life and everything in life, you practice insight meditation, vipassana meditation. Which this is recorded, so you can go back to the recording.
Oh, perfect. I'm gonna need to reflect on this for sure.
Then you have the teachings on karma, which is you will reap what you sow. The teachings on karma, if you dive into that, there's a lot of teachings and sub-teachings on karma. Something that I'm very passionate about is karma, the observations of that, and right there in your state, University of Virginia, that studies rebirth. So you can look up the Department of Perceptual Studies at University of Virginia, and there is a whole shebang. I was lucky enough, goodness gracious, that I have one of the original University of Virginia findings from Lord knows, 30, 40 years ago. And I opened it up, and there are detailed case studies of interviews. Very, very valuable book. And young lady, I like to really go to University of Virginia in that department and just dig around. And be like, excuse me, can I run loose around here, unsupervised, for a second?
I feel like if you walked in with your robes on, they might just let you.
And give me the key and the passcode and an ID.
Maybe not that much, but it would hurt to ask.
Chào cô Linh. Cô Linh ơi, sắp về Việt Nam rồi cô Linh ơi. Ngày 30 tháng Giêng là về. My aunt just jumped on my Facebook. I told her I'm going to see her on the 30th. Ngày 30 má mới về chung luôn. Okay, then we move on to cycle of rebirth. Okay, that's look at the six rebirth realms, and also the philosophical Buddhist psychology behind what constitutes the cycle of BS is what I call it. You know, it's like
Yeah.
samsaric, which I've gotten a lot of attention by making short clips on samsara. Dependent origination, that's a whole can of worms there. And there are books that goes into detail that explains clinging, what constitutes clinging, and perception and feelings and just the whole links of influence that leads to attachment.
That one's a hard one.
It's a hard one
to delve into.
It's a hard one to teach. It's a hard one to go through academically, I would say. But for someone like me, you know, who's been practicing this for quite some time, it's very simple. It's like, it's very simple because you just pay attention on how you feel about it. As soon as your eyes and ears are open and someone makes you feel a certain way about something, or something makes you feel a certain way about that thing, then stop. Back up. Back up.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? If I'm going to go on a date with some girl and we're going to go into the movie theaters, so my eyes, my ayatanas, my 5 sense base, you count the mind, is number 6. And I don't really know what's going on. And if I'm sitting in the movie theaters and I feel a certain way, like I'm starting to attract to this woman, girl, whatever, I feel a certain way. If there's any physiological responses, then at that point mindfulness jumps in right away, and it says, "Okay, you stay here a little longer. Someone gonna get pregnant. All right, you stay here a little longer. You're gonna start seeing some consequences in a couple years." So the links of dependent origination is not all that mysterious. It's just that when I go through it academically, I have to open up a bunch of books and compile it together and then try to explain it. But like in the most simplest sense, in the most practical sense, every single day, if we use dependent origination to trace our past, it's very simple. Like write down as young as you can remember how you grew up, who you grew up with, what you did, who made you feel what, who did what to who, when you were younger, and then you realize that you were formed in this way with these people, and that made you now angry or not angry or joyful or happy or easy to love or not so easy to love, ambivalent, ambiguous, you know, suspicious of people. So so you know, you use that to like look back at the past one last time if you've never came to peace with it one last time. And dependent origination, in order to like figure out, you know, why am I still addicted to drugs? Why am I still addicted to cocaine? Well, when you first see cocaine, get away.
Yeah.
when you first see cocaine or hear of cocaine, you need to like get away. Okay. So it's not all that mysterious. But the longer you sit there and stare at this whole line of cocaine, what do you think's gonna happen? You know, you're not gonna. The next step is not gonna bring out the Bible and put the Bible next to this line of cocaine. So you can see the links of, you know, the 12 links. It has to do with looking at it and touching it, and it makes you feel a certain way, and then you're gonna act on it, and then it constitutes the cycle of rebirth of just, you know, any alcoholic, anyone that is addicted to drug, alcohol, sex, whatever. You can just see the whole cycle, and it always starts with opening one's eyes, ears, touching it, smelling it, tasting it, and then you're hooked onto it just like chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
The middle truth, which is the middle way, and that goes back up. All these are intertwined in, you know, cross section and intersections. The middle truth goes back up to the Noble Eightfold Path, because the Noble Eightfold Path is the middle truth of it. The divine abodes. Oh boy. Theravada. Vada, divine abodes. Oh, here we go. The four boundless, also known as the the Brahma Viharas. There we go. See, when someone says Brahma Vihara, it clicks in my head, and then if someone else says the divine abodes, it throws me off. Okay.
Do they mean the same thing, but maybe just culturally are different?
It means the same thing. It's just different wording, and right now, the different wording while I'm trying to go to Canada in 2 weeks does not help. And a one-way ticket to Vietnam 2 weeks after that. The divine abodes is Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upekkha, which is loving kindness, number 1. Number 2, compassion. Number 3, appreciative joy. Number 4, equanimity. How do we cultivate loving kindness? Well, there's loving kindness meditation, which is taught by Bhikkhu Bodhi. Compassion. The practice of compassion arises out of deep understanding for human and their suffering, which you study the first noble truth, and you also need to borrow some psychology in order to understand humans. So psychologytoday.com helps you study humans, understand humans, therefore compassion arises when we see suffering in active mode out there in society. Mudita, appreciative joy, which is kind of like practicing gratefulness. Okay, and you meditate much, and joy and rapture will arise. The last two here, Upekkha, which is equanimity. Once again, equanimity arises out of meditation. Let me see.
Didn't I read somewhere that like equanimity is like one of the harder things to, I guess, realize? Or is that more of like you reach that once you attain the others?
Let me review this first.
If that question makes any sense.
It does. All right, equanimity, it seems to me, is the ground out of which the other 3 flavors of benevolent mind arise. Everything depends on it. Equanimity is the capacity of the mind to hold a clear view of whatever is happening, both external and internal, as well as the ability of the mind to accommodate passion without losing its balance. It's the mind that sees clearly, that meets experience with cordial intent. Because it remains steady and thus unconfused, it is able to correctly assess the situation it meets.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
it's almost kind of like would you would you achieve equanimity once? Well, I mean, I don't know if you know the answer to that. Like when you've reached Nibbana, or could you have equanimity without have reached Nibbana?
In a practical sense, equanimity is that you are unmoved by anything that is good or bad. You see things clearly as they are, and you are just tranquil.
Yeah.
It's just like right now, it's New Year, and I'm tranquil. I'm not excited. I'm not sad. I'm tranquil. I'm just chilling. I'm just doing my thing.
What day is it again?
Right. I'm like, what day is it again? I'm so busy. I'm so focused on what needs to be done, doing what needs to be done, practice what needs to be practiced, and study what needs to be studied. So my mind is right now trying to finish the life of the Buddha according to the Pali Canon. Okay, this is the most important thing right now. So everyone else can, that's their definition of fun. My fun is trying to finish this book. I'll have a lot of fun. I'm already having fun reading this book because of the language that it uses, the beautiful language that it uses. And now I'm thinking about maybe I should drag this with me so that I can take notes. But let me just share something with you. That sound, a sample of the language that they use, that literally take you out of this little small human realm that we are in, and put us in a place where the Buddha once lived. They called it the Buddha came from the heaven of the contented. The heaven of the contented. Just sit there and just imagine what heaven of the contented
What that would be like.
looks like. And the question, well, I mean, don't daydream too long, too far. What is contentment in this lifetime? Oh.
Well, like that would be objective, wouldn't it?
For everybody.
Like universal contentment or contentment on an individual level? That would be my question.
Contentment for an individual, because when the individual is contented, then universally, they're not moved by anything else. They are content. I am content.
That's something to sit on. I love reading anything about his life because I don't know, I just find him so fascinating.
Well, I better finish this thing so I can give it to you on the 12th.
No pressure. I already found it in Amazon, so if you don't, I can just get it.
I'm putting pressure on me. Okay, here we go. Here, listen to the language. This is from Ananda. When I concentrate, this is what he heard from the Buddha. Okay, so Ananda was the chief disciple and cousin of the Buddha. He had superior memory, unlike me. Okay. Yeah, Elder Ananda, disciple and personal attendant of the Buddha, who recited the discourse at the first council. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, I inclined my mind to the knowledge of the passing away and reappearance of beings. With the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, I saw beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair, ugly, happy, unhappy, in their destinations. I understood how beings pass on according to their actions. These worthy beings who were ill conducted in body, speech, and mind, revilers of noble ones, wrong in their views, giving effect to wrong view in their actions, on the dissolution of the body after death, have reappeared in states of privation, in an unhappy destination, in perdition, even in hell. But these worthy beings who were well conducted in body, and then it goes on and on. It literally, like, one small paragraph will make you sit here and think for the entire year.
But you know, at the same time, what I am enjoying is there was a time where reading stuff like that would make no sense to me. And like, as I've been studying and listening to you and talking to you, things are starting to click more and more. And I'm enjoying that experience as well.
Oh, well, it's no different than anyone reading the Bible, and I'm reading the Bible again also. And I'm just like, what? Why are so much killings in Genesis? There is so much killings in Genesis. It's not even funny, and how God was very pissed off at everybody for not following the commandments, and Moses acting a fool, and Abraham, and I was just like, oh my God, chill out. And anyone who hasn't have a Catholic background would also be like, how is this the most beautiful book on the planet to read? Because right now in Genesis, there is so much bloodshed and bloodbath. How is this book?
Yeah.
I don't understand how this is the best-selling book in the entire world.
I read it once. And so when I did a class when I was growing up, and we read it, like, I guess there's like a way to read it, not like from front cover to back cover. I guess puts in a more chronological order. I don't know. We read it out of like, it was a weird way to read it, but it's interesting.
So anyway, so yeah, that, so the language in that book is really, 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 really awesome.
Yeah, no, sounds like it.
I sent you a link to the Brahma Viharas, the divine abodes, the 4 divine abodes. So whenever you have time, you can read it through Lion's Roar.
Yes, okay, I just got it. Okay.
These must be the paramis. Okay, there we go. Here comes the paramis, the 10 perfections right here. So the 10 perfection, send you the link for that also, found on Access to Insight. And anyone who wants to study Theravada Buddhism, y'all can follow along with these oral recommendations. You can also sit there with your laptop and put the 10 perfection in Theravada Buddhism. Okay.
Okay, I got that one too.
The 10 perfection is generosity, which you are the champion practitioner of generosity. Then you have morality, you have renunciation, you have wisdom, you have energy, you have patience, you have truthfulness, resolution, loving kindness, and equanimity again. Okay, so I'll just let y'all read that because that's gonna take a whole can of month to read the paramis there. And a lot of monks too. You put the paramis, the 10 perfections, on YouTube. A bunch of monks will talk a lot on it. It's like hours.
Damn.
Okay.
I mean, I guess that makes sense though.
Yeah. Okay. Then the jhana states, the four jhanas, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that has to do with mindfulness of the breath. So that is rooted in anapanasati. Which have you been practicing meditation lately?
Oh, not lately. I was doing loving kindness meditation there for a minute, but I'm actually, the New Year's resolutions and everything. That's like a big thing I'm gonna be focusing on. Is definitely getting a routine with that, because that was my problem. Is I wasn't making a routine of it, but I want to make it a daily thing.
Okay.
I know I read about the jhanas though.
Yeah, it's also another can of worms. So.
Yeah, I think I remember you mentioning at one point. You're like, no, we're not gonna review that just yet. It was one of my times when I was like way diving too deep in too early.
Okay. Then we move on to the 4 stages of enlightenment, which is, the 4 steps to enlightenment, which is stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahant. Okay. So 4 stages of awakening. That is also in sequential order. Then you have enlightenment, which is nibbana. And you're gonna need to cycle through a bunch of books that talks about definitions of nibbana, what constitutes it, what it is and what it's not, and a bunch of monks also talks about enlightenment and nibbana. It's very mysterious to a lot of people, but when you practice all of this, eventually enlightenment is quite actually easy. You just have to, sometimes you just have to give up the lawyer in your head in regards to questioning or too much analyzing. Too much analyzing, doubt in the teachings, laziness, all these things gets in the way of enlightenment. So I'm surprised this book actually don't have the 5 hindrances.
Oh yeah.
I do not see 5 hindrances in this book. Oops, someone forgot. See, I'm not the only one that forgets. Someone else forgot too. And then levels of truth probably talks about conventional truth, absolute truth, and conventional truths. Which other monks? I think Ajahn Sumedho talks a lot about that. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right. So I just wanted to just review that table of content so that you conceptualize the long list to do in Theravada. Where,
Now,
ow,
my question. I'm sorry.
oh, tummy ache. Yeah, you were saying.
Oh, I was gonna say, would this be like a good guide to study, like chronologically, like
Yeah.
start with like the life of Buddha, make sure you understand him, and then move down.
It actually doesn't matter in what order you. It all has to be mastered.
True.
So and then a lot of people, they don't know where to start. You go online and it's all over the place. So, and one thing about the life of the Buddha is that it is also scattered everywhere in the 5 original books. So therefore, what Venerable Nyanamoli and some of these Buddhist scholars, they take their time to like gather all the sources together in a coherent form, and then present it to us so that we're like, oh, okay, I get it now, because it's all scattered in the rules for monks. It's scattered in the Anguttara Nikaya. It's all over the place. So it's like missing pieces of the puzzle. If you didn't know where to look, it's a big headache trying to read the 5 original books. It's very thick. You gotta have a good memory. You have to basically sit there and like map it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't remember if I sent it to you, but speaking of like big books, I don't think I did. I didn't send it to you. I thought I had, but I was at this used bookstore and I found these books. I don't know if you would recognize them, but there was 5 of them and they were called Handful of Leaves, like book 1 through 5.
Ugh.
And they're I don't remember who they were written by. The Nasaro Bhikkhu.
Who?
It's Thanissaro and then Bhikkhu.
Yeah, Thanissaro.
Thanissaro.
Oh, my tummy hurts. Ow.
Oh no.
Ow. Oh, okay, so
Have you eaten yet?
I just ate, and I think that's what it is. I ate chicken and rice next door.
Oh.
Okay, so what I'm holding in my hand, I swore I had those. Maybe it's in my room and not here, but
oh my
yeah.
gosh, it is that book.
Okay, so no, this is skills and questions, but all of these are free. All of these are free on DhammaTalks.org. DhammaTalks.org.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
DhammaTalks.
each book was like $3, but I wasn't sure if that was like relevant to our tradition, so I didn't buy them. But there was all 5 of them were there.
DhammaTalks.org. Suttas. Random sutta.
Let me make a note.
No, I'm sending it to your phone right now.
Oh.
Thank goodness for MacBooks.
I have a little notebook that I write all my Buddhism notes in throughout the day that I think of.
Yeah, Venerable Thanissaro, also known as Venerable Jeff Thanissaro, he's a very prolific and authority in Pali scholar, and he is a Theravadan scholar. So anything that expounds by him is good stuff.
Oh, okay, cool, sweet.
Is that your phone? Oh no.
Yeah, it was like all of his books. Well, at least on the Fallen Leaves, if I remember correctly, it focused on, I want to say, I think it was the Nikaya Sutra. Does that sound right? Handful of Leaves. Let me Google.
But yeah, I've seen it. I have it. I have book 1 and book 2.
Yeah, it was like breaking down one specific book, I thought.
Yeah, I haven't finished it. There's so many books.
There was 5 of them, so he like really broke it down. It was interesting though. I went to this used bookstore in my parents' hometown, and there were so many like most used bookstores or bookstores in general I go to, they have a very limited selection of books on Buddhism in general, and a lot of them are like by the Dalai Lama and stuff. But this one was like, it was a huge section, and there was like books I'd never heard of before. Like most bookstores I go to, I see the same set of books. I had a field day in there. I was there for like 3 hours just reading each book and like figuring out if I could use any of them.
I see.
But... Oh, I actually did have a question because I was listening to like on my car rides and while I was at my parents' house, I was listening to some of the Tricycle Talks podcast. And it got me thinking about something because I was listening to one about how nuns came into the order and everything. And I don't know why it made me think of this, but so you might not even know the answer. So for Buddhists, the idea of how to escape samsara is, mastering the Four Noble Truths and like all these other steps. But before Buddhism was taught by the Buddha or the teachings of it, what did people think happened in life, especially when there was like the caste systems that you couldn't leave?
It sucked, and it still sucks until this very day. The caste system still exists. There are doctors that I work with here that still follow the caste system. I've been to where they hang out, and they look at people very strange. If you're not a doctor or a lawyer, they just kind of like, ugh, heavily judge a person.
Because like it's my understanding that you can't leave that system once you're born into it, right?
You be outcast. You can leave, but you be an outcast. You be they classify. I think the fourth one, which is like not even like human, like they don't even look at you. You're like pretty much an animal in their eyes.
Yeah. Because they touched a lot on like a large reason why women specifically went to the Buddha was because they had like no rights, and it gave them, like she touched on the idea that it wasn't always necessarily the reason why they went wasn't always necessarily because they wanted to learn all the aspects of the Dhamma. It was also just the fact that they were free if they went with him. And like it was an interesting talk. I don't know how historically accurate it was, but she touched on the fact that like they could never escape their reality staying where they were at, basically, because they had no rights and then there was no way out for them.
Yeah,
it was an interesting talk. I just was thinking, like, did they believe in samsara? Because my understanding was that wasn't something that the Buddha taught necessarily. That was already there.
Samsara is this cycle of suffering, just over and over again. The habits of how people think, their habits of speech, body, speech, and action, their thoughts, their actions, and the Buddha was awakened to that, after meditating and just realizing, wow, these people are just doing it to themselves, and he saw it in himself too, the repetitiveness of cycles of just over and over again, just like once again, the closest analogy I can give to you is look at a depressed person who is addicted to alcohol, or something happens in someone's life, mostly divorce, and then they lead to alcohol to cope, and they're in their own little world. But you can see that they're in their own little world of vicious cycle of depression, anxiety, feeling bad for themselves over and over again, and then just picking up the alcohol, and then hungover, and then picking up the alcohol. So when the Buddha realized, okay, we can break this cycle. I know how to break the cycle. Let me teach it to you. And that's when he taught the Four Noble Truths. He taught all the things that in the Theravada main ideas that we just said in the above. And these are steps to take to break the chain, break the cycle, break the chain. And in here it says it very beautifully. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, blessed are those who actually see that they're in this loop, and they're awakened from this loop.
Mm.
Yeah, you have to read this book. This book is pretty awesome.
I mean, for the little bit you already read, it sounds awesome. Anything that gives me an opportunity to get into the Buddha's head even slightly. Sometimes I'll just sit there and try to picture what went through his head on a daily basis. And sometimes I'm like, there was nothing. It was just experiences going in one and then leaving the other.
Such beautiful. Look at this one. I heard and learned this, Lord, from the Blessed One's own lips. Mindfully and fully aware, the Bodhisattva, the being dedicated to enlightenment, appeared in the heaven of the contented. And I remember that as a wonderful and marvelous quality of the Blessed One. I heard and learned this, Lord, from the Blessed One's own lips. Mindful and fully aware, the Bodhisattva remained in the heaven of the contented. For the whole of that lifespan, the Bodhisattva remained in the heaven of the contented. And then, trust me, you will have a piece of his mind, what he thinks about, and what. Well, I think I read a paragraph of it. Let me see if I can take one out of the book here and give you a sample. Here we go. Now when I had eaten solid food and had regained strength, then quiet, secluded from sensual desires, secluded from unwholesome state, I enter upon an abode in the first meditation, which is accompanied by thinking and exploring with happiness and pleasure born of seclusion. But I allow no such pleasant feeling as arose in me to gain power over my mind. With the stilling of thinking and exploring, I enter upon an abode in the second meditation, which has internal confidence and singleness of mind, without thinking and exploring, without happiness and pleasure born of concentration. But I allow no such pleasant feeling as arose in me to gain power over my mind. With the fading as well of happiness, I abode in onlooking equanimity, mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. I enter upon an abode in the third meditation, referring to which the noble ones announce, he has pleasant abiding who looks on with equanimity and is mindful. But I allow no such pleasant feeling as arose in me to gain power over my mind. With the abandoning of bodily pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of mental joy and grief, I enter upon an abode in the fourth meditation, which has neither pain nor pleasure, and the purity of those mindfulness is due to onlooking equanimity. But I allowed no such pleasure as arose in me to gain power over my mind. When my concentrated mind was thus purified, bright, unblemished, and rid of imperfection, when it had become malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbably, I inclined my mind to the knowledge of recollection of past lives. I recollected my manifold past lives. That is to say, 1 birth, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000 birth, many ages of world contraction, many ages of world expansion, many ages of world contraction and expansion. I was there so named, of such a race, with such an appearance, such food, such experience of pleasure and pain, such a life term. And passing away thence, I reappeared elsewhere, and there too I was so named, of such race, and so on. So now you have some insight into what this man was thinking, during his 6 years of seclusion and practice. It just gets better and better.
Was that like the steps he took to reach enlightenment under the Bodhi tree? Is that like his thoughts that he went through?
One of the steps. We haven't gone into insight meditation in the book yet. So I'm still trying to track the book with mindfulness myself in the midst of traveling agendas. So I'm like, every time when I open this book, I have to like really focus on every single line and sentence and analyze it and picture it, imagery in my head, trying to absorb it. All this is really good for me. It reminded me how intellectually lazy I was, having 3 libraries, and I touched none of them during my times of teaching. Well, because I was teaching and I was doing counseling, so I couldn't get to them in time. So situations like this, prompts me to go back to the library and pull out a lot of these and read it over and over again and recollect. It's so much. But I am so determined to hang on to these few leaves before I leave Earth and to what this life could afford.
I feel like it's like a lifetime of books.
Which is good, because we real Buddhists have a checklist and we have something to do. So a person who is not a real Buddhist, who like, I'm bored. How are you bored? How are you engaging entertainment? How are you engaging into this, that, and this, and festivities and da 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 da? And it's like, we have a very long list to study. And I also put out a bunch of flashcards over there. And yeah, flashcards, because I'm pushing 40 years old soon. So my memory's not all that great. I have to refer back to like flashcards.
I made flashcards when I was doing the CBT because I needed a quick study guide if I ever was out in public, and I found it super. I'm a flashcard person. I love them.
Right. The last talk was Christmas-ish area, and the monastic panel said, "Okay, we're gonna talk about Jesus and Christ. We're gonna talk about Buddha and Christ and the parallel sayings of both of them." It gave me like 4 hours to get prepared and ready for it, which I did. And they applauded me on my presentation of it. So, but I was just thank goodness that I was able to compose myself and the composure of the academic studies, and citing both the Buddha and Christ in his saying. And there's a book out there that it didn't arrive in time; it arrived late. But it's the parallel sayings of Buddha and Christ.
Oh, I know. Funny enough, you say that. There's several monks I follow that were doing talks about the comparisons between the two and the comparisons between both like philosophies and religions. And I was listening to a couple of them. I found them very interesting.
It's gorgeous, beautiful, marvelous, and yeah, so I wanted to review that and give a teaching on that too. I think all of the Christians out there get a kick out of that. But back to being Buddhist, yeah, we have a long list to do, and do it joyfully. I get a kick every night. I read so much that I put myself to sleep, and then I said, all right, take your nap and then wake up and then read again. So I'm literally now operating like the Buddha, because the Buddha, I think he only slept a couple hours. And many champion monks in the forest only sleep for a couple of hours. And I literally lay there with the book on my chest and right next to me, and then I'm like, okay, make sure you get up in a couple of hours. Well, I never do. And then I wake up like, huh? I'm like reading in traffic. I'm reading when there's wait times at doctor's offices, trying to grab as many lines as I can, trying to speed up the process. So
yeah.
So yeah, embrace it. The many books that's coming towards your way.
So I could I have like a little bookshelf that I've just kind of, as you've mentioned books, I've been able to get some of them like discounted prices and stuff. So I get excited reading. I'm still working through the Dhammapada. I've been doing that real slow because I'm trying to absorb all the lessons, but...
Okay, well, I'm still recording. You want to share like a short Dhammapada so everyone can listen? I'll be right back. Right back.
No. Like, read one?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Oh. Oh gosh, well, I don't know if anybody's even listening. The one that I have started on is actually the first one, funny enough. So it's called Twin Verses, and it goes like this. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Suffering follows an evil thought as the wheels of a cart follow the oxen that draw it. Our life is shaped by our mind. We become what we think. Joy follows a pure thought, like a shadow that never leaves. He was angry with me. He attacked me. He defeated me. He robbed me. Those who dwell on such thoughts will never be free from hatred. He was angry with me. He attacked me. He defeated me. He robbed me. Those who do not dwell on such thoughts will surely become free from hatred. For hatred can never put an end to hatred. Love alone can. This is an unalterable law. People forget that their lives will end soon. For those who remember, quarrels come to an end. As a strong wind blows down a weak tree, Mara the tempter overwhelms weak people who, eating too much and working too little, are caught in the frantic pursuit of pleasure. As the strongest wind cannot shake a mountain, Mara cannot shake those who are self-disciplined and full of faith. Those who put on the saffron robe without purifying the mind, who lack truthfulness and self-control, are not fit to wear the saffron robe. But those who have purified their minds, who are endowed with truth and self-control, are truly fit to wear the saffron robe. The deluded, imagining trivial things to be vital to life, follow their vain fancies and never attain the highest knowledge. But the wise, knowing what is trivial and what is vital, set their thoughts on the supreme goal and attain the highest knowledge. As rain seeps through an ill-thatched hut, passion will seep through an untrained mind. As rain cannot seep through a well-thatched hut, passion cannot seep through a well-trained mind. Those who are selfish suffer here and hereafter. They suffer in both worlds from the results of their own actions. But those who are selfless rejoice here and rejoice hereafter. They rejoice in both worlds from the results of their own actions. Those who are selfish suffer in this life and in the next. They suffer seeing the results of the evil they have done, and more suffering awaits them in the next life. But those who are selfless rejoice in this life and in the next. They rejoice seeing the good that they have done, and more joy awaits them in the next life. Those who recite many scriptures but fail to practice their teachings are like a cowherd counting another's cows. They do not share in the joys of the spiritual life, but those who know few scriptures yet practice their teachings, overcoming all lust, hatred, and delusion, live with a pure mind in the highest wisdom. They stand without external supports and share in the joys of the spiritual life. Oh, perfect timing. I read the only one I'd really studied so far, which was Twin Verses. But I'm enjoying so much breaking that one down because I feel like, I don't know, it's so deep, but it's like so basic. I mean, that's like everything I feel like at this point, but I don't know, really, I read that one a couple times.
The Dhammapada is like dessert. After you have consumed some of the Four Noble Truths and you open the Dhammapada, it's complementary to the food for thoughts. And yeah, it's the Dhammapada is beautiful. It's like
poetry.
Right. And you sit there and you really think about one's life, where, you know, how do I cultivate myself to be the wise? How to act in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha. And so these are all the many hows to live, how to meditate, how to be the wise, how to enter into the heaven of the contented.
Well, I just love how you can even just like take individual, I'm going to say stanzas, and like when I was going home, I specifically focused on, I guess you'd say, stanza 5, where it's like, for hatred can never put an end to hatred, love alone can. This is an unalterable law. People forget their lives will end soon. For those who remember, quarrels come to an end. So like when things kind of got, as families do, they got a little rough, I just kept thinking over my head, like, this is a short life. Am I going to allow this to ruin my time here? Am I going to allow this to ruin this experience,
Mm. And of course, as it relates to you, and it means something to you, and you apply it to your life, this is where these are also good for journal prompts.
Yeah.
So that you start reflecting on it. That's how you start to cultivate memory onto the Dhammapada, the verses in the Dhammapada. So that's why, every time when you're reading the scriptures, it's good to like take notes. What does it mean to you? How do you apply this to your life? How do you use it tomorrow? Okay, and literally the whole day you should be contemplating and thinking about it and meditating on it. The whole line, meditate on it. Yeah. So that's what's beautiful about Buddhism, is a never-ending going. When I went to church, there was a nun that sat next to me, and she had the rosary nonstop. What does this has to do with today's talk? No different than we Buddhists reflecting on the Dhammapada and the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path and the 10 Paramis and the 4, Brahma Viharas. So, we do have our own type rosary, the mala beads. And the mala beads that I have for many people that I'm going to be seeing in Canada has 108 beads, 108, and it's meant to recollect the 9 qualities of the Buddha 108 times. So if you ever go onto YouTube and you put recollection of the Buddha 108 times, that's all you hear is Iti viso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vicha jarana sampanno sugato lokavido anuttaro purisadhamma sarati satha deva manutsanang buddho bhagavati. And it does it again for 108 times.
Oh my gosh.
9 qualities.
That's awesome.
Yeah, 9 qualities of the Buddha. And pretty much it reminds you, okay, we'll take one quality out and start cultivating them so you as close as to the Buddha as you're ever going to get, or as close to the Buddha, or be a Buddha, or whatever. Practice like him, be like him.
Yeah.
Buddha nature in you. So so I got a kick out of that, and I was just observing this Catholic nun just doing her thing. She was just doing her thing, and she's probably the Lord's Prayer, Hail Marys, and she was just very in the moment of enlightenment.
Yeah.
In her own Christian enlightenment, and I was just like, wow, you go, girl, keep going. But yeah, so I'd like to conclude tonight's talk. I gotta go and get my parents because they're celebrating, and they want me to go pick them up. So I'm gonna go and pick them up around the corner here. But Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, same to you.
I need to maybe a little bit later I'll give a New Year talk for everyone. Give them some optimism, but also remain realistic about how to approach 2024 mindfully and victoriously and positively. Technically, every year's the same. Okay, from a Buddhist sense, every year's the same. We elect this person in office, this person gets kicked out of office, there's war here, there's war there, but we call that, in Buddhism, we call that the true nature of reality of life. Every year sucks, and every year is great. You get it? It's the middle way. There's goodness in one year, and there's suckiness in one year. So, yes, remain cheerful and optimist, but also return back to your practice, because you can't change who the hell is going to be in office. You can change how you respond to it or choose not to respond to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like Christmas came and I'm like, huh? What? Christmas? Oh, what is that?
Already?
Yeah, like New Year came and I'm like, New Year, what's new? What? I'm still me. And I can't believe this is my 9th year as a monk. Really. Because every other year is the same. To me, I feel like as if I just started as a monk yesterday.
Well, it was funny that you brought that up because I love listening to Dr. Neil Tyson. You've talked to him once in a while. I almost had the opportunity to see him in person, but I don't know if you know who he is, but he's an astrophysicist. And he was joking around today. He posted something. He was like, "Hey, I just want to let everybody know that like New Year's is like one of the few holidays that has no astronomical relevance and is completely man-made, so it does not mean anything."
Right. He's just keeping it real. Yeah,
he's like, you guys can make a meaning out of it, but it means nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Đang trên đường đến. Yeah, so anyway, so I was going to give a talk, but I've been so busy, as you can tell. I was excited to talk to you, and I was like, oh, I gotta get to talk to Bree.
Finally, oh my gosh. I feel like
and then I haven't even told everyone the announcement of coming to see you, and it's like, I'm visiting a living saint in Virginia. In New York.
Visiting you. I'm more excited about that. I was thinking a couple days ago, I was like, I gotta think of things to do. Because I've been to Buffalo a couple of times.
Yeah. All right, so let me do this, and yeah, let me know the plans.
Yeah, I'll finalize it with my aunt and let you know.
Yeah. I wish I had diplomatic immunity or diplomatic powers where I can say, "Hi, I'm Venerable Chidao. Can you let that woman right there? She's a saint, by the way. Pass through the Canada border without proper documentation. Is that okay?"
I know.
You would trust a saint, right?
Karma.
You would trust a saint, right? I mean, they could just fly back if they wanted to, right?
It's an example of karma, though, because I've been procrastinating that. I've been saying for a while I need to get a passport, and I've been procrastinating it, so now I'm paying the price for it.
It's all right. So it'll be a fun drive for me. But yeah, just let me know as the date approaches near, so I can go down there, grab the rental car, and come see you and give you these books that I have compiled.
I'll probably let you know sometime early this week. That way you have plenty of time to plan for it.
Yeah. I mean, if not, I'm just gonna send it out again.
Gosh, I can't handle that stress again.
That was quite something, right?
Put on the package. Do not put on the front door. Send straight to the office because I was so stressed.
Next time I'll do require signature.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
All right. So the challenge for me is to finish this book, so you have this book also.
You can do it.
I know I can. I just need to do it. Just do it. Damn it. Okay, well, Happy New Year to you, young lady, and we'll talk soon, and more public announcement to come for the rest of the world that's watching. Okay, well, have a good night over there, and keep me updated, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Have a good night. Happy New Year.
Bye, Bree. All right, folks, I got to wrap it up and grab my folks because they're waiting. I'm just going to shoot out. More talks to come, so just try to stay on top of it as much as you can. Okay, thank you all for being wonderful listeners, and Happy New Year to you. If I don't get back, in time for the New Year thing, but so no expectations there, right? Take care, may you all be well, be happy, be free, and always be healthy. Get ready for a victorious 2024.